All right, we've got more unbelievable matches coming your way. The next one is men's 45 final. It features two amazing players. This is sure to be a great match. So let me get them out here. The first one, he's from South Africa. He was a runner-up in Hong Kong in the 40 plus. He won the British Open 45 6 weeks ago. From South Africa, the number 2 seed. Please welcome Zuko Kubukeli. His opponent, he was number 14 in the world as a pro, number 3 in England. He has 10 PSA titles, 2 times winner of the European Championships, and he's the defending 45 plus world champion. He now lives in Sudbury, Massachusetts, but he's originally from England. Please welcome the number 1 seed, Nick Taylor. The referee for this match is Daniel Greco.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for this intriguing encounter, the men's 45 plus World Masters final between Nick Taylor and Zuko Kubukeli. Just while the guys are warming up, I wanted to let you know about the matches that are on the other courts that are streaming live as well, and you can find the link to those just below the video screen that you're looking at now on your computer. On court 4, you have the men's 35 third-fourth playoff between Alex Garbi and Wael El Hindi. On court 5, you have the men's 35 classic plate final between Anton Liu and Gary Whedon. On court 9, you have the women's 35 consoles between Susan Wu and Lee Booty. On court 11, we have the men's 50s final between Chris Moody and Eugene Peterson. And then on glass court 2, we have the women's 35 final between Lauren Briggs and Selena Sinclair.
Half time.
So as the men finish their warm-up, Nick Taylor on the left side of the court with the grey shirt from England, and on the right, black shorts, Zuko Kubukeli. Zuko from South Africa. In the commentary box with me, Chanel Erasmus. Hi, Chanel.
Hi, Chris. Love the way that you say my last name there.
South African. And which corner are you in, I wonder?
Oh, I mean, I've got to be with Zuko on this one. I've sort of played with him over the years on a Jarvis Kaplan Cup team, so definitely have watched him play over the years, admired him, and then also you have Nick Taylor, who is this phenomenal sort of master of the game, right? Sort of professional player, and he's got fans all around the world. So, but I'm going with my South African in my heart and in my blood.
Very good, very good. And I guess I'll have to go with Nick then. No, a good friend of mine, and so we'll have a little battle in the commentary box as well. But Zuko, runner-up in Hong Kong in the over 40s and winner of the British Open over 45s just 6 weeks ago, is obviously playing incredibly well. He's had a pretty convincing journey to the final here this week. And Nick Taylor, as Will Carlin just said, the defending over 45s world champion, and now moved to America, living in Sudbury, Massachusetts, starting up the program at Infinitum Squash. Two-time winner of the European Championships and previously world number 14.
2018 World Masters, men 45 plus final. Nick Taylor to serve, Zuko Kubukeli to receive.
Well, it's Zuko Kubukeli representing the South African shirt there in the green and gold against Nick Taylor. I believe that's an Infinitum shirt that he's wearing, but he's in the grey and black, getting this match started here on the glass court.
So I'd anticipate quite a steady start from both players. Maybe a few long rallies here just to test each other out. But Nick's a very, very smart, clinical player, and I'm sure we'll be looking to volley the ball and not sit back on the longer rallies.
I mean, we saw yesterday, Chris, both these players competing here on this glass court. We've seen the movement, we've seen the skills of Kubukeli. It's just, is it enough against Nick Taylor?
Stroke to Taylor. One love.
Those questions and more will be answered in the next 45 minutes or so.
I think Taylor's had a pretty smooth ride to this final, so he hasn't really quite been tested. Players competing against him, sort of, he's just too good. So he's going to want to just stay on form here, stay good concentration. No lapse in effort against the sort of speedy Kubukeli.
Well, I know Nick would have gone through his own build-up, warm-up routine, which would include getting himself prepared mentally and thinking about strategy. And as we can see, he's started off solid, hasn't made a mistake yet, and is moving the ball around nicely. He's already played a couple of games on this court, so as has Zuko. So the court shouldn't be much of an issue for either player. Zuko not quite settled yet. He's made a couple of unforced errors, and Nick may argue that. And a beautiful hold there. Poor length again from Zuko, and Nick Taylor had a bunch of different options on that back end in the middle of the court, and the beautiful fade of his body weight just sending Zuko the wrong way. So charging to a 4-love lead in this first game.
Well, we've seen on some of these other courts, right, just the level of accuracy that sort of these top players' opponents have to play at if they want to make some noise on these courts. It's so difficult to compete against someone that just, every ball is tight against the sidewall. Every ball's length is well calculated. The weight of shot is perfect. And sort of how do you counter that? And sort of we're seeing this now, right? Taylor on that tee, sort of a whole foot ahead of the tee, really looking for that volley, looking to bring the ball inshore, just putting Kubukeli under so much pressure.
Well, very, very clinical start by Nick Taylor. 6-love at the moment. And one of the things Nick does so well, and again, a 2-ball boast, second 2-ball boast he's played, and both of them winning points. But what Nick does so well in his shot selection, he will not hit the ball hard if he's out of position. Every shot is calculated so that he's going to be able to cover the next shot that his opponent plays, and the position on the court, and that shot selection is all built around that that thought process. And so very, very impressive start. 8-love. This is just the perfect start that Nick Taylor would have wanted.
Oh, just millimeters above the 10, sort of had a little bit of a top spin swing there, striking that ball.
On the ball nice and early. It's good, a good cross-court deceptive flick from Zuko, but at this point, early on in the match, Nick's still fresh in the legs. Chances are he's going to get it back, and
well, he's on the board.
Weird dividend, but yes, Zuko getting his first point. He'll breathe a little sigh of relief for that one, and maybe feel a little bit more settled. But this first game is a really tough challenge here for Zuko to pull back.
2-9.
Wow, Kubukeli just really struggling to get Taylor off that tee, right? You can see that he's just attempting to get him behind him, but the length is just not good enough to maneuver him that way.
And there, just the simple fact Nick volleyed that, and it was reasonably tight to the left wall. It wasn't a great shot, but it was tight to the left wall. Zuko's time was taken away because of the volley, and he's gone and mistimed it and made an error. And that's, you know, that's a great example of Nick's calculation. And here we have Nick with that error, has 8 game balls and a fantastic forehand straight drop, dead as you like at the front right there for Nick Taylor to take the first game. Chanel, you've seen Zuko, you know, grow up as a South African at the start of his career, and maybe you alluded to that. Maybe you could give us a little more detail on some of the things he's achieved in South Africa.
I mean, he's sort of one of the, career-wise, he's a PhD, has a PhD in sports science. So he's now starting a human performance lab. So he certainly knows how the body works, and what he is able to do physically really is, I would say, one of the best parts of his game, the recovery process, right? Knowing what he needs to do with his body, how he needs to take care of it to be in the best possible shape that he can be in. He's probably the fittest I've seen him in a little while. He's really in great shape, moving around the court sort of effortlessly at times. We saw it yesterday. He was playing against, I think it was Adrian Hansen, and just was the fitter player on that court. He likes going for shots. He's gonna try and be a little bit of a shot maker, and he sort of can twist and turn his opponent. Has never actually won a South African national championship, so came on a little bit later in the scene, so is more of a Masters Jarvis Cup player, and so has made a name for himself on that circuit. So it's great to see. He actually, I believe, was runner-up in Hong Kong.
Level.
Yes, he was. He was a runner-up in the 40s, and well, good little analysis there to give a bit of colour to Zuko, and clearly he's in great shape, and and moves well, but he's got to be careful with the attacking style of play that he's implementing, because at the moment Nick Taylor is forward on the court, he's playing some incredibly tight shots, and he's counter-punching anything loose around the front. So Zuko, I would think, in this game has got to be a little bit more patient, try and get the ball wide and past Nick Taylor, and there you'd have thought that was quite a good cross court, but Nick Taylor was on it. Real attention to detail has got to be paramount in the front of his mind to try and get Nick Taylor off the tee, try and make him work a little.
Right. I mean, these players know we've been witnessing a little bit of the X factor of players that have to play against these top seeds who have all played at the professional level, right? Have all done incredible things, and you'd expect there not to be much of that here with Kubukeli, just because he has also, right, he's represented Team South Africa at a number of national and international tournaments. So he has seen and has competed against this level of squash. It's now just how well can you execute your game plan. And really, I think in this, it's just attempt to get Taylor behind.
Yeah, this is one match, one day. But it's the men's over 45s World Masters final. And Nick Taylor just getting his nose ahead here in the second game, having won the first convincingly. And Zuko Kubukeli needs to do something now if he's going to stay in this match, and doesn't really want to be too loved down. But short lengths are being punished just like that, with some subtle displays of angles around the front. Nick Taylor really containing the game beautifully, and fantastic backhand volley there from Zuko. Really, that's what Nick Taylor's doing. He is forcing Zuko to go for shots that are really, really tight, and in the end, inevitably, that creates errors because there's no margin. And Zuko's got to try and find a game that's within his ability and play within himself to break Nick Taylor down a little, and forcing it a little there.
Hand out, 7-3.
Tight drive, another error. Another point for Nick Taylor.
Well, this game is looking like it's heading in the same direction as the first one. Just really need to take note of where the ball bounces for each player, right? There's level of accuracy that we're seeing here. It's tight against the wall. It's just Taylor is putting Kubukeli under so much pressure, and Taylor just a little bit frustrated with that shot selection there. Went for a little bit of the fancy angle, but it didn't pay off.
Nick is very critical of himself. You can see him, you know, there's a fair amount of self-talk during the match here, in between rallies, where he's
nice little hold.
Nice pump of the fist there. That was a beautifully executed hold, and very much a perfectionist and a perfectionist attitude.
Stroke to Taylor.
But I'm kind of a bit far back, eh? The ball was past him.
You're in his swing.
No, I wasn't. Well out of his swing.
9-4.
So that stroke, which I think was inevitable because the ball was in the middle of the court, Nick turned to take it on his backhand immediately, and Zuko was in the way, hadn't cleared for that shot. So taking Nick Taylor to 9-4 in the second game.
Down. And out. 5-9.
A point in the air there by Nick Taylor. Just closed his racket face a tiny bit. And, hit the tin. One of a few errors that we've seen from him so far. That's tight by Zuko, which gives him a little time at the front. Nick Taylor using the lob to great effect there to get back in the rally.
Wrong shot.
Down.
Well, lucky there from Kubukeli. Didn't really need to go for that boast. Should have gone for the straight shot down the line or into the back of the court, put himself under a lot of pressure, but the tin from Taylor will be a big sigh of relief for Kubukeli.
Purple Taylor. And out.
Well, not
And
tight
6.
enough.
Game ball.
Zuko giving a point away, and crucial time because now Nick Taylor has 4 game balls for a 2-love lead.
Just let. 10-6. Game ball.
So let ball there on access to the ball.
Oh, great height from Taylor. Just see how much that means there to Taylor. I mean, greatly executed the game plan, just trying to get Kubukeli to move all over the court. I mean, we've seen that Kubukeli has incredible court coverage, but it's just not enough here against Taylor. He's trying to do everything he can just to prevent him from being able to play his shots, and it's not enough.
Yeah, that was a great rally by both players there, and Zuko really, you know, obviously under pressure and not wanting to lose that game, put in a great rally, and that's the sort of thing he has to do the whole time, I think, Chanel. He has to extend the rally, he has to be that intense, because Nick Taylor is that intense, and all the time it demands the same and more back to stay in this match, and if Zuko's going to kind of get back into it, he needs to test Nick Taylor physically and himself physically. That last rally was a good example, but Nick Taylor won that rally and won the second game, so he's now 2-love up, and it's, you know, it's a bit of a mountain to climb for Zuko. Nick Taylor really obviously fired up, wants this title badly. He's punching the air during the game, not just at the end. He is really focused, so that body language translates to another concern for Zuko, who's got to really, you know, break down a tough customer who's in a good position now for a charge for this third game.
Fifteen seconds. Taylor leads 2 games to love.
Well, as you said, Chris, a big mountain to climb here for Kubukeli. Taylor just seems a little bit unstoppable in this match, and sort of rightfully so, is the #1 seed here in this division.
And he will not let this go, like, you know.
Oh, that's a great touch.
He's going to be closing in on the finish line.
1 love.
Nick will want to have a good start here. He's not going to let Zuko have a sniff. He's got that intensity and that mental strength to do that. He's done all the preparation, he's done all the training.
Well, it's always wonderful to see these players coming back and competing here, and as Sarah Fitzgerald said earlier, the people that are here and competing, they just love playing the game, right? Taylor has played at the highest level, won tour titles, right? And so we were seeing how much it means to him to just be here and playing for this title, the World Masters title. So it all still matters to them.
Very much, very much. The icing on the cake with, you know, Nick got, I'm sure, Zuko as well. Lots of other things going on in their lives, family and coaching and sports
Down.
science,
Thank you.
all of these things, but the
And out.
a
1
lot of the
all.
game, bringing them together, bringing us all together this 2 weeks almost here in Virginia, celebration of the sport and the players in it.
Well, sort of uncharacteristic there from
2-1.
Taylor, making a few errors in the start of this third game. As you said earlier, really can't let Kubukeli get into this game at all, right? He's going to get some confidence from that.
Yeah, you can see Kubukeli trying to kind of extend the rally, but also move Nick Taylor a little bit with some volleys to the front, trying to test him a little bit, but he's got to balance those attacks with making sure that he gets Nick out of position, and that when he does take it in short, he is in position to cover whatever Nick fires at him. So real bit of cat and mouse, in particular for Zuko now, because Nick knows what he needs to do. He is going to be consistent, stick to his guns with that discipline of good length, hunting the ball, and being patient with his shots. And again, lovely rally here. Nick just controlling the tee. Zuko doing a lot of work and simple lob,
It's great
winning
height.
the point.
And
Yeah.
out.
I mean,
2
to
all.
get the right height on a lob, I remember still putting like buckets in the back of the court and aiming for the bucket, just trying to get the height, make sure that your opponent doesn't end up volleying it just straight down the line. But Taylor, definitely lots of target practicing has happened there for him. But Taylor just hits the ball so cleanly, because I love watching the way that he gets into position to hit a ball, right? Takes his space, racket preparation. He does everything right before the shot even happens in order for him to hit such a well-executed shot.
That's right. He's the key thing for all of that to happen, as you rightly say, Chanel, is that movement onto the ball
3 all.
to get into the right position, and then everything flows, and his movement, he's on his toes, he's in great position for the ball every time he arrives at it, and that's why it's so consistent, it's so well rehearsed.
And out. 4-3.
And even now, look, you can see he's still talking to himself, still working on that follow through a little bit, and it's a journey. He is constantly seeking to improve, and with that sort of attitude, it's difficult to stop.
It also puts you under a lot of pressure with regards to where your then tee position gets placed. Right? I mean, what a
5-3.
beautiful straight volley drop there from Taylor. I mean, there was nothing else super glued to the side wall there.
Yeah, so this is really Zuko's last stand, and 5-3 towards the middle of this third game. He has to try and extend rallies again, a bit like he did for that last rally of the second game. He can't afford to give
that's
points
great.
away, and he knows now when it's strong. So this is a good rally for Zuko. He's got some time at the front. He's making Nick work. That was a good exchange.
Oh,
And the pressure there, Nick feeling the pressure. Tough rally for Nick Taylor. Big effort from
And
Zuko.
out. 4-5.
first time in this match we've had to see him breathe a little bit harder.
So the
Had to make
question
him
is,
reach.
how much has Zuko got in the tank, and can he sustain that sort of quality in a rally?
I mean, it's the first time, Chris, that we've had to see Taylor change direction. And that's what Kubukeli does so well, just not well enough right now. But I think the more, if he can continue to attempt to do it and find a way to do it
And
better,
out.
then we might
6-4.
see Taylor
For
actually
service,
have to think a little bit more about where he's moving, how he's going to take that next step. As we've seen, we haven't seen him tested yet at all during this week.
Well, interesting there. You know, Nick just played a pretty amazing backhand volley drop into the front right corner. Maybe it's forehand actually. Sorry, and won the point. And at this point, 6-4, I would think he'd want to push for the next 1 or 2 points, but he's calling for the court to be swept. So I wonder how, how much physical work he's just done, how much that hurt him. He's buying time to regroup with this little lead, and so Zuko has to kind of build a little again before going out with an all-out attack. Big points coming up here at 6-4 in the third.
Just let.
Oh my goodness.
6-4.
I don't want to hit that straight, I want to hit it back across.
Oh, that's
There was
a tough
play
call, Chris.
Well, in my book, that's a stroke, but there was a great counter drop exchange at the front left there, and Zuko was the one that decided to try and hit it deep. And it's really hard to do that when it's so tight at the front. Fortunate there, I think.
Oh, that's perfectly weighted drive.
Against, but as you say, perfectly weighted drive, and that little break gave Nick the little extra he needed for this push. And now at 7-4, he's going to be happy to play a couple of hard rallies. And if he needs
that's the skill of Taylor coming out. He certainly has answers for everything.
Zuko looking like needs some new ideas.
How much more creative can you try and be, though, Chris? It's sort of you run out of shots at some point
9-4.
when someone is just that accurate, and it really is what Taylor is showing and proving is that it's a simple game, right? That he just executes so well.
Great shot there, just perfectly in line with your commentary there, Chanel. And this is match point, so 6 match points for the World Masters title. There it is, and that's what it means to Nick Taylor. Pumping in the air, and he's been fired up the whole match, and you can't get a more professional performance than that. And he is absolutely thrilled.
Well, just that expression just sums it all up, right? Just how much this means to him. And well, Carlin here on court now going to do a little bit of a post-match interview with our champion of the men's 45.
That's a very impressive victory over a very talented opponent. After you won the first game 11-2, there's a natural human inclination to let up, but it seemed like you were actually driven to make sure you didn't let up. Were you particularly focused on that in the second game?
Well, of course, I mean Zuko's a class player. I mean, you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. So, the plan is I got my tactical plan absolutely spot on tonight, or this afternoon, and I executed it well. I went a little bit weak, a little bit in the second game, managed to get it back, and then stuck to it in the third. So, just didn't want him to play, didn't want him to use his speed. So I'm absolutely delighted.
Well, you played an unbelievable week of squash. You've been a model for many of us who have been watching. You are at a whole standard of play that a lot of us try to emulate. But it obviously meant a lot to you. We just saw you pump your fists and give a big shout out to yourself and to your fans upon winning. Tell us a little bit about what it means to actually pull this off and defend your title.
Well, I've got to be careful not for the tears not to roll down the eyes. I mean, I'm pretty passionate about the game. It's been a great week. There's a lot of people tuning in and supporting back in Boston as well as the UK. And I've come into this event, really serious, and I wanted to retain my title. And it's not easy to do against these class players, but I'm delighted.
Tell me a little bit about what that emotion's about. Is that from all the work and the other people who are supporting you? What's causing that?
I think generally, my son's in the crowd there. That means a lot. My wife, I know what she's like back at home or back in Boston, but I don't know. I'm just so passionate about the game of squash. I love it. It runs in my blood, and it means a lot to win a title like this.
Well, Nick, you're an inspiration for many of us. You were a great pro player. To see you do so well in the World Masters has meant a lot to a lot of us. Congratulations, both from your English fans and your new American fans as well.
Thanks, Will.
We have a little less than 10 minutes till the next match, and I will be around to introduce them in a few minutes.
So Will Carlin, just a really great interview there with Nick Taylor. You can see how much that title means to him, and get a little idea of the work and the commitment that he's shown over the last 2 years since he won it first, and that successful defense, fantastic performance. And so Nick Taylor, over 45s World Masters champion. Looking at